What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of The Variety Views. I'm your host, The Variety Vendor, and yes, I am back again to book or fantasy book certain storylines. And the topic of this video is, of course, Bryan Danielson and AEW. And this is my idea. This is something that I've had for a while, but I just kept holding it back, and I tweaked a few things. I would have really would have kicked things off at fight for the Fallen, but since Dynamite is coming up and we're getting closer and closer to All Out, I reworked a few things. So here goes. This is, of course, a response to Parts Unknown with the fantasy booking warfare they're going with, and check that out, because it's really enjoyable. I always enjoy these guys, fantasy booking stuff, and this is just something that I want to I put my 2 cents in, because I really think it's a very interesting topic. So Bryan Danielson and AEW. This is my idea. Starting this coming week or next week on Dynamite. So Shawn Spears is set to face Sammy Guevara. And that would have, of course, Shawn Spears lose to Sammy Guevara. And after the match, MJF comes out and he goes, you continuously lose. You lost, you took the losing fall in Stadium Stampede, and you failed against Chris Jericho in his first labor, and now you lose against Sammy Guevara. You better get your mind straight, all right, Shawn? And that's the promo he cuts backstage to Shawn Spears. Later on in the night, we got MJF against Jericho. Shawn Spears wants to prove himself. He comes out, he helps out MJF, and somewhere down in the match, he tries to help out MJF with a steel chair, but it backfires, and Jericho capitalizes on the situation, and Jericho beats MJF. After the match, MJF just beats the crap out of Shawn Spears. And he goes, I knew something like this would happen. I knew it. But I kept on listening to Tully Blanchard, and I thought that maybe, just maybe, you had an ounce of potential, but you didn't. You didn't, Shawn. You didn't. And you're nowhere close to being good enough in the Pinnacle. The Pinnacle is all about perfection. It's all about being the best of the best, and you're not, Shawn. So I think it's time for you to give up your spot for someone better. And out comes Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson comes out, gets into the ring after the fans chant yes, and takes in all the adulation from the fans, gets on the mic, and he says, Shawn, I've been watching you for a while, and I've been watching what the Pinnacle have been doing. And yes, the Pinnacle is where the best of the best thrive. And you gotta admit, Shawn, you're not really anywhere close to that. You gotta kind of come to terms with the fact that you're nothing more than a B+ player. And MJF lifts up Bryan Danielson's arm, and he's like, yes, this is the guy that's going to help out the Pinnacle. And as they're walking away, Shawn Spears grabs hold of MJF's hand, and he's like, no, please give me one more shot. And then MJF looks at Bryan Danielson and nods. Bryan kicks Shawn Spears in the face, and he puts him in the label lock, and MJF continues to talk trash to Shawn Spears. On Rampage, yes, next week's Rampage, we got a big show for CM Punk's debut, and also Bryan Danielson's debut. And we can have on YouTube, on Dark, Sean Spears begging MJF for one more chance, and MJF is like, all right, I heard your plea. You know what, Sean? Fine, I'll give you another shot if you can beat Bryan Danielson. So at Rampage, it's going to be Bryan Danielson against Sean Spears. Bryan makes short work out of Sean Spears and beats him. And this would continue for Sean until he finds himself with the Best Friends, where they help him get back up on his feet. And he turns face, and he can be a fun little act with Best Friends. So on Dynamite the following week, MJF and Bryan Danielson, they have issued a challenge against Sammy Guevara all week and Chris Jericho to a tag match, and Bryan Danielson and MJF defeat Sammy Guevara and Jericho, with Bryan Danielson making Sammy Guevara tap out. And after the match, they put a beat down on Sammy Guevara and Jericho. Out comes Jake Hager, and Danielson and MJF, they run off. So on Rampage, it's going to be MJF versus Jake Hager, and Danielson is going to have an exhibition against whomever is going to accept his challenge, and that is accepted by Phoenix. And we have a fun little match on Rampage between Danielson and Phoenix. And that's something that I always loved about AEW, is just because, there are guys that are feuding, they don't have to face each other every week. They can face other people. So Danielson and Phoenix, I think they would have a fun match. And of course, Danielson beats Phoenix. On Dynamite, after Danielson's match with Phoenix, he pretty much gets on the mic and he says that on Dynamite, he has a special announcement to make. He wants to call out somebody that he's been watching for a while, and he hopes that person would accept his challenge for All Out. Because at the end of the day, Bryan Danielson is the best wrestler in the world. So on Dynamite, Bryan Danielson comes out and he calls out Lance Archer. Not CM Punk. No, I wouldn't have CM Punk and Bryan Danielson touch for a year, or even acknowledge each other for a year. I'll get to what I would do with Danielson and Punk. So Bryan Danielson calls out Lance Archer. He challenges him to a match at All Out for the New Japan United States Championship, because he says that championship right there, that is the Forbidden Door. Everybody's been talking about the Forbidden Door. That championship right there, that's the Forbidden Door. And that is the reason why he came to this company, is because he wants to wrestle in front of all kinds of fans, against all kinds of wrestlers, to prove that he is in fact the best wrestler in the world. And that championship right there is going to open up doors for him. And Lance Archer, you talk about that, everybody dies. Well, right now you're looking at me. I got a death wish. And I defy you to put me down. Lance Archer is like, well, everybody dies, including you, Bryan. And that's the match that is set for All Out. Bryan Danielson versus Lance Archer. We go to Rampage. Danielson has a match with another guy, maybe Penta, maybe I don't know, maybe Jungle Boy, somebody who's not really doing anything, and he can have a great match with him. Maybe a Brian Pillman Jr. I think that'd be fun for Danielson. Working with fresher faces. Because I feel like that's the thing that Danielson excels at, is wrestling more so than promos. Even though that he's a great promo, I think that is the draw for Danielson, is watching him wrestle. So I think on Rampage, him wrestling against Penta would be a really fun match. So then we go to Dynamite. Bryan Danielson has a match with Brian Cage to prepare himself against Lance Archer. He's got to wrestle a big guy, and he beats Brian Cage. Lance Archer defeats Will Hobbs. And that's where we go to All Out, and Danielson beats Lance Archer for the New Japan United States Championship. And on Dynamite, that's when Danielson proclaims that he is now the Forbidden Door champion. And he's going to start the Forbidden Door Challenge. And that can be during a sit-down interview with JR, where he's like, this is the reason why he came to AEW. He wants to wrestle everybody. And, since the world, it's not like what he expected the world to be at by the time he got the chance to be on a stage like this. Instead of going around the world, this championship is a beacon right now for everybody around the world to come to him. So every week he's going to have a match against, a different person from a different promotion. Can be from anybody around the world. Can be from Impact, Ring of Honor, AAA, New Japan. Can be anybody. And that's what you do with Danielson, going forward every week. And he can be the one that carries Rampage. It can be all about Danielson. That is something that you would look forward to every week, where you would turn Rampage into the Bryan Danielson show, where you would have stats on guys from from all around the world, whoever wants to face Bryan Danielson that night, and you can even have a qualifying match for the following week, with whomever wins faces Bryan Danielson the following week. And it can be a whole Bryan Danielson show. Like Rampage can be the Bryan Danielson show, while Dynamite can be the CM Punk show. Since CM Punk is great at promos, he is a great character. He is a mega star. He is a big draw, and he can carry Dynamite. He can be, or one of the guys that carries Dynamite, because you got an amazing roster. So you got Punk that is working on Dynamite. He's one of the pillars of Dynamite, while Danielson is the Atlas of Rampage. And that is my idea. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought. And with that being said, like, comment, and subscribe. Ding that bell icon to be notified on future episodes on the Variety Vendor channel. And check out my next video. We talk about something else. Take care.